Hello and welcome to the science class. My name is Teacher John. I'm going to take you through Science of Primary 7, Term 1. Our first topic in P7 Term 1, Science, is Muscular Skeletal System. Muscular Skeletal System is our first topic in P7. Now, the muscular skeletal system is a system that gives animals the ability to move. The muscular skeletal system is a system that gives animals or organisms the ability to move. In P6, P5, you looked at very many systems. For example, in P5 we have what we call the digestive system. In P6 you looked at the reproductive system. Now in P7 we are also going to look at different systems, and the first is the muscular skeletal system. We also have what we call the excretory system. But as I said, we are going to begin with the muscular skeletal system. What is this system all about? We've said the muscular skeletal system is a system that gives animals the ability to move. So meaning that animals cannot move without the muscular skeletal system. And this muscular skeletal system is made up of bones and muscles. The muscular skeletal system is made up of bones and muscles. We are going to see what is a skeleton. Remember, our topic is muscular skeletal system. But we need to know, because the word skeleton is coming from the word skeletal. What is a skeleton? A skeleton is the structure that supports the body of an organism. A skeleton is a structure that supports the body of an organism. I repeat, the skeleton is a structure that supports the body of an organism. Now we have different types of skeleton, as we are going to see. We also have what we call a human skeleton. What is a human skeleton? A human skeleton is a framework of bones in the body. A human skeleton is a framework of bones in the body. Don't confuse the human skeleton with a skeleton. You say a skeleton is a structure that supports the body of an organism, while the human skeleton is a framework of bones in the body. A framework of bones in the body. Something you need to note: an adult human being has around 206 bones. An adult human being has around 206 bones. 206 bones. Like, for example, I'm an adult. The number of bones I have in my body is 206 bones. But you need to know that babies have more bones than adults. Babies have more bones than adults. Simply because babies have what we call unfused bones. Most of babies have bones which are not fused. Most of their bones are not joined. So they have what we call unfused bones. So you may find a question asking you, why do babies have more bones than adults? Babies have unfused bones. That's why their bones are more. But an adult human being has around 206 bones. Remember, we looked at what a skeleton is. We move to types of skeleton. Types of skeleton. we have three major types of skeleton. One, endoskeleton. Endoskeleton. The word endo means inside. We have exoskeleton. Exoskeleton. The word exo means external, outside. Then number three, we have what we call hydrostatic skeleton. Hydrostatic skeleton. I said we have three types of skeleton: endoskeleton, exoskeleton, and hydrostatic skeleton. Let's begin with endoskeleton. What is an endoskeleton? An endoskeleton is the type of skeleton formed inside the bodies of animals. Endoskeleton is the type of skeleton formed or found inside the bodies of animals. For example, human beings, lions, leopards, dogs. In other words, all vertebrates, all animals with a backbone, they have an endoskeleton. And that means that their skeleton is found inside their bodies. Their bones are found inside their bodies. And that's why they have what we call an endoskeleton. So we say an endoskeleton is the type of skeleton formed or found inside the body of an organism. Examples of organisms with endoskeleton. There are so many. People or human beings, cows, lions, zebra, dogs, monkeys, and so on. To summarize, all vertebrates have an endoskeleton. In P6, we say vertebrates are animals with a backbone. Any animal with a backbone has an endoskeleton. Number two, we move to exoskeleton. Exoskeleton. As I said, the word exo means inside, no outside. The word exo means outside or external. So, exoskeleton is the type of skeleton formed outside the body of an organism. An exoskeleton is the type of skeleton formed or found outside the body of an organism. We have some organisms with an exoskeleton. Examples of organisms with exoskeleton. Insects. Insects. All insects have an exoskeleton. For example, we have bees, butterflies, locusts, houseflies, and so on. That's what I've summarized as insect. But in case they ask you to give an example of an animal with, or an organism with an exoskeleton, if you don't say insects, you can simply say bees. You can mention the examples of insects. Those answers are also correct. Then number two, we have what called arachnids. Arachnids. Arachnids are organisms with 8 jointed legs and they have an exoskeleton. For example, we have ticks, we have mites, we have spiders. We also have what called harvestmen. Harvestmen. Those ones are under arachnids. I said arachnids are organisms with 8 jointed legs and they have 2 main body parts. Those organisms are called arachnids and they also have an exoskeleton. So we have insects and arachnids. I've given you examples of insects. I've also given you examples of arachnids. Then we have the third one, which we call crustaceans. Crustaceans in P6, when you're looking at the classification of animals, invertebrates, we looked at crustaceans. And examples of crustaceans, we have crabs, lobsters, and so on. Those ones also have what we call an exoskeleton. So, in case they ask you to give examples of exoskeleton, you may not mention the group, you may just give those examples. You can say spider, butterfly, bees, ticks, mites, and so on. Then the third type of skeleton, is what you call hydrostatic skeleton. Hydrostatic skeleton. The word hydro means water. So, hydrostatic skeleton is the type of skeleton where the body of an organism is supported by a fluid under pressure. A hydrostatic skeleton is the type of skeleton where the body of an organism is supported by a fluid under pressure. Now, we have examples of organisms with hydrostatic skeleton. These organisms with soft bodies. For example, we have a snail. Those ones don't have bones, but their bodies are filled with fluids. When you press them, they are soft. For example, we have snails. Snails have what we call a hydrostatic skeleton. We have earthworms. They have soft bodies. They have a fluid inside their bodies. Then we have what we call slugs. Slugs are similar to snails, only that snails have a shell, but slugs don't have shells. That's the major difference between a slug and a snail. You looked at that one in primary 6. We have caterpillar. If you look at a caterpillar, it has a soft body with a fluid inside. And if you press harder, you can burst them. Then the fluid will pour. Then we have maggots. We have octopus, and so on. So you find that most of the examples of hydrostatic organisms with a hydrostatic skeleton, they are under a group of organisms called mollusks. In P6 we learned about mollusks, and we gave examples of mollusks. Like, for example, we have a snail is a mollusk, a slug is a mollusk, octopus a mollusk. There's another one called squid. This one is also an example of an organism with the hydrostatic skeleton. So there are so many. That is about types of skeleton. Remember, we said a skeleton is a structure that supports the body of an organism. A skeleton is a structure that supports the body of an organism. We have 3 types of skeleton. We have looked at them. We have given examples of every group. So that one brings us to the structure of the human skeleton. The structure of the human skeleton. Now, the human skeleton has 2 major regions. The ones we are calling regions of the skeleton, or regions of the human skeleton. 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 Now, the human skeleton has 2 major regions. One is what we call axial region. Axial region. Then number 2, appendicular region. Appendicular region. I repeat, axial region, then appendicular region. Let's begin with axial region. It consists of the skull. The skull is on the head. If you look at your diagram, your booklet, the P7 booklet, you look at there is a structure of the human skeleton. And that structure of the human skeleton, you will see begins with the skull. So the skull is under axial region. Then we have the rib cage. This one here. The rib cage which protects the lungs. This rib cage is also under axial region. Then we have what we call the sternum. Sternum is also known as breastbone. It's the one which holds the ribs. The ribs move from the sternum to the backbone. So from the backbone, these ribs come and join the sternum. So the sternum is found here. That's where you find the sternum. And it's also known as breastbone. It is under axial region. Then lastly, we have what we call a backbone. In P6, you learned about a backbone. Now, backbone is this one. When you look at your back, there is this part that protects the spinal cord. That's what we call a backbone. It is an example, or it lies under axial region. As I said, axial region consists of the skull, the rib cage, the sternum, and the backbone. I've told you where the sternum is. The sternum is the chest cavity here. That's where you find the sternum. Then backbone, you know where the backbone is, you know where the rib cage is, and you know where the skull is. Then the second region is appendicular region. Appendicular region consists of the limbs. When you talk about limbs, you're talking about the arms and the hands. Then you're also talking about the legs. Those are limbs. So we have the arms and the legs. Those are what you call limbs. So limbs are under appendicular region. Then we have the hip girdle. The hip girdle. The hip girdle is this, your waist. We have a part called the pelvis. So this part here, there is what called the hip girdle. This one here. If you look at your diagram showing the structure of the human skeleton, there is a part called pelvis. Sometimes you can call it pelvic girdle. Pelvic girdle, also known as hip girdle. So the hip girdle is also under appendicular region. Then the third one is what we call shoulder girdle. The shoulder girdle is here. The shoulder is here. That's where you find the shoulder girdle. Is an example of appendicular region. So in other words, appendicular region, we have the arms. Look at the arms, these ones. Then we have the limbs. Those ones are under appendicular region. Then axial region, we have the skull. Then we have the rib cage and the sternum. Those ones make the axial region. Now, I wanted to the structure of the human skeleton. Now, that structure of the human skeleton has these parts. I want you to learn the spelling. Number one shall be the skull. Skull, also known as cranium. Number two, from the skull, we have what we call eye socket. Eye socket. Eye socket protects the eye, where eyes are found. Then we go to the neck vertebra. The neck vertebra. Neck vertebra. Neck vertebra, these are the bones that form the neck. The bones in the neck are called the neck vertebra. From there, we come to the backbone. Backbone. Backbone, also known as spine. or you can also call it vertebral column. Vertebral column. From there you go to the arm. We have what we call scapula. Scapula. Number 6, we have what we call humerus. Humerus is this bone here. This one. This bone here is called humerus. There's a bone up here. That bone is called humerus. Then number 6, we have what we call ulna. Then we have radius. Ulna, from the humerus, we have ulna. Ulna and radius, these are the two bones that are found in this arm here. We have the ulna and the radius. Then, number 8, we can look at pelvis. Pelvis, this is here in the waist, there are bones here, they call the pelvis. Then from there, we can go to femur, or the one people call thigh bone. Femur or thigh bone. Femur or thigh bone. From the femur, we have what we call patella. Patella. Patella is also known as kneecap. Kneecap. Kneecap, for if it is here, it's a very small bone here in the knee. That's why it's called a kneecap. Then we have fibula. Fibula. After fibula, we have tibia. Tibia. These ones are after the knee. There are two bones here. We have tibia and fibula. Tibia and fibula. They are here. After the knee. Then we have what we call tarsals. Tarsals. Number 14, we have tarsals. Tarsals, they are here. Here we have tarsals in the ankle. The bones in the ankle are called tarsals. Then we have what we call metatarsals. Metatarsals. Metatarsals are after they are in the bones in the feet. Look at your foot. The bones which make up your foot are called metatarsals. Then number 16, we have what we call carpals. Carpals and metacarpals. Metacarpals. Now, carpals are the bones in the wrist. The bones in the wrist are called carpals. Then metacarpals are the bones in the palm of your hand. These bones that are there are called metacarpals. Okay. We've looked at the structure of the human skeleton, bones that make up the human skeleton. We've listed them. Now we know the spelling, we know how to write them. Next, we look at bones of the human skeleton. What is a bone? A bone is a hard structure made up of living cells and minerals or mineral salts. A bone is a hard structure made up of living cells and minerals. Examples of mineral salts that make bones hard: calcium and phosphorus. Calcium and phosphorus, they make bones harder. They make bones stronger, including the teeth. That's calcium and phosphorus. Then let's look at classification of bones. Classification of bones. Bones are classified into 4 groups. One, we have what we call long bones, short bones, irregular shaped bones. Then lastly, we have what we call flat bones. I repeat, bones are classified into 4: long bones, short bones, irregular shaped bones, and flat bones. We look at examples of long bones: femur, tibia, fibula, humerus, ulna, radius. I repeat, femur, tibia, fibula, humerus, ulna, radius. When we are looking at examples of bones that make up the human skeleton, we say that femur is also known as the thigh bone, and it's the longest bone in the human body. Femur is the longest bone in the human body. Longest bone in the human body. In the human body. So the femur is the longest and hardest bone in the human body. That question is there. They can easily ask you, name the longest and hardest bone in the human body. That's the femur, also known as the thigh bone. Then we have tibia. Tibia and fibula are found just below the knee. There are 2 bones below the knee, the ones we call tibia and fibula. Then we have humerus. Humerus is found in the arm. The arm, this one is called humerus. The upper arm is called humerus. The lower arm has ulna and radius. Something you need to note: white blood cells are made in the bone marrow of long bones. These are examples of long bones, and that's where the white blood cells are made. And B, white blood cells are made in the bone marrow of long bones. They may ask you, where are the white blood cells made? In P6 you learned about white blood cells. And I think the teacher told you that white blood cells are made in the bone marrow of long bones. These are the examples of long bones. They have bone marrow, which help in the production of white blood cells. We go to red blood. We go to the short bones. Examples of short bones. We have 4 major examples of short bones: carpals, metacarpals, tarsals, and metatarsals. I told you, carpals are the bones in the wrist. Carpals are the bones in the wrist. Metacarpals are the bones that are found in the palm of your hand. So the bones which form the palm of your hand are called metacarpals. They are examples of short bones. Then tarsals. Tarsals are found in the ankle. Your ankle has what you call tarsals. Then the foot here. Your foot has what you call metatarsals. So we have 4 examples of short bones: carpals, metacarpals, tarsals, metatarsals. And B, something you need to note: red blood cells are made in the bone marrow of short bones. red blood cells are made in the bone marrow of short bones. Those are the examples of short bones where the red blood cells are made. Next, we look at examples of flat bones. Flat bones, we have what called shoulder blade. Shoulder blade. Shoulder blade is found in the shoulders here. Your shoulders have what called the shoulder blade. Then we have cranium or skull. They are flat bones. Rib cage is made up of flat bones. Sternum or breastbone. Then we have what called scapula. Those are examples of flat bones. Examples of irregular shaped bones. We have the backbone, sacrum, bones of the neck vertebra, and lastly, lumbar vertebra. These are examples of irregular shaped bones. And the reason why we call them irregular shaped bones, it means that their shape is irregular. That's why we're calling them irregular shaped bones. Backbone, sacrum, bones of the neck vertebra, and lumbar vertebra. Now, lumbar vertebra is just below this bone, below the rib cage. The bone below the rib cage. If you look at the diagram in your booklet showing the structure of the human skeleton, go where we have the rib cage, then just below the rib cage, there is a bone there called lumbar vertebra. Then sacrum is between the pelvis. Go to where we have the pelvis, there is a very tiny bone hanging between the pelvis. That bone is called sacrum. Backbone, you know it very well where it is. Then, as simple as that. Then lastly, we look at functions of the human skeleton. Functions of the human skeleton. Functions of the human skeleton. The human skeleton is very important. How is it important? It has 5 major uses. 1, the human skeleton helps in body movement. We cannot move without the skeleton. It helps in body movement. It also gives the body shape and support. Try to imagine if we didn't have bones, if we didn't have the skeleton. Remember we said the skeleton is a framework, the human skeleton is a framework of bones in the body. If we didn't have the human skeleton, then we will not have the shape we are having. This shape of a human being, it is like this because of the human skeleton. That's why we are saying it gives the body shape. Number 3, it produces blood cells. It produces blood cells. Which blood cells? We have the red blood cells and the white blood cells. Just to remind you, we said white blood cells are produced in the bone marrow of long bones. Then the red blood cells are produced in the bone marrow of short bones. So that means the human skeleton helps to produce blood cells. And I'm emphasizing the word blood. Not body cells, but blood cells. Then it gives room for attachment of muscles. The human skeleton gives room for attachment of muscles. If we do not have the human skeleton, our muscles will not be attached anywhere. Possibly will just be a heap of flesh somewhere. But you find that muscles that we have are attached on the bones, the ones we are calling the human skeleton. Then lastly, the human skeleton protects delicate body organs. For example, the skull protects the brain. The skull also protects the eyes. The skull protects the ears and the nose. The rib cage protects the heart and the lungs. Remember, the rib cage is part of the human skeleton. That's why we're saying it protects delicate body organs. For example, the rib cage protects the heart and the lungs. The skull protects the brain, eyes, ears, and nose. Then lastly, the backbone protects the spinal cord. The backbone protects the spinal cord. Now, there are two activities. There's an activity which you're supposed to write after this lesson. Please answer that activity. If there is anything that you did not understand, my number is there. You are free to call me at any time and I'll be in a position to help you. Please, if you have not bought the P7 booklet, they are ready at school. Please come and pick so that you can follow these YouTube lessons following the booklets that we've provided to you. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening to me. See you.